Anyways, let's go back to the important stuff. Battlegrounds updates. This is really the important thing. The rest of the stuff isn't nearly as important as the Battleground stuff, us being primarily Battlegrounds here. So hero power updates. Okay, so I kind of before we start, I kind of want to talk about what I'm looking for personally. Like, what would I be looking at adjusting? Personally, I think so. Like they released Nagas. I think Nagas are kind of okay. Like I don't think Nagas are bad right now. Though you do feel Siren nerf, but honestly, Nagas can still like win the lobby. It's not like they're unplayable or anything like that. So I think Nagas are fine. Really, like the biggest deal besides like Shutterwalk, first of all, I think is absolutely unreasonable right now. I would definitely do something with Shutterwalk. Maybe even delete the hero, just because like the hero is so hard to get correct. Especially and it limits design choices because you can't really put like early game economy too much, right? You can't put early game like design stuff. I mean, you could nerf it back to 2 mana again, and maybe that would help. But I don't even know if that's like. I don't even know if that would fix Shutterwalk. Like, I feel like the good players would still just abuse it. So I don't know. I would definitely adjust it. And I would just remove a lot of heroes. Personally, I think that's maybe my biggest complaint right now, besides like the overarching like pressure is still kind of well, pressure is less BS because dragons aren't as dominant, but it's still like problematically designed. And Meckrel as well. Still don't like those cards. But I think more important for me right now is just the huge amount of bad heroes in the game. Just heroes that are not fun to play, they don't perform well, and there's not really any advantage to picking that hero compared to other heroes. I would love to see just like a mass removal of like maybe 10 to 15 heroes. I just don't think they'll do that. Like I'm not expecting to read these updates and be like, we've decided to remove 10 to 15 heroes. Yeah, I don't imagine that ever is going to be a line I'm reading. But I would like to see like a couple adjustments, like maybe 2 or 3 hero removals, maybe some hero buffs, right? Especially the ones that were created with in the buddy meta. Those ones really need huge help. So I would love to see those changes. But yeah, we'll take a look. I mean, I'm looking at the first one. They're changing Onyxia, right? So that's what spurred me to make this talk before I started. But I don't know. Let's take a look at what it actually does. So Nyx is getting adjustment, right? Old Avenge 4, summon a 2-1 whelp. You Avenge 4, summon a 3-1 whelp. So it's basically the same, except you get a 3-1 whelp instead of a 2-1 help. This doesn't inspire confidence, honestly. Like, I don't think this does anything massive for Onyxia. And I do think that if you made it Avenge 3, it would be broken, right? So that's kind of the problem, huh? Because if you make it Avenge 3, it's too good. And if you make it Avenge the way it is right now, it's really unplayable, really. I'd say one of the worst heroes in the game. Especially if it doesn't have armor. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this change. I don't think it's going to make this hero playable. Honestly, it's kind of a nothing buff. Like it's one of those buffs where you kind of question the design philosophy, because I don't think it's gonna really make players that know what they're doing want to play this hero. Like, it does not. I don't feel like playing this hero because of this change. So I'm just gonna avoid it the same. I have to see other players playing this hero and then doing well, which I don't think I'll be seeing. So I just don't think this is an impactful adjustment at all. But who knows? I mean, I at this point, I'm gonna say I know, and I don't think this is gonna do anything. Let's move on. So Azumat's also getting a change. Interesting. So passive start of combat, summon a 2-1 technical taunt. So that's the same. Gains +1/+1 after you sell a minion. That's the same. That's the same. Upgrades. That's the same. This is not a fun. Oh. The change is just. So it's not a change. Okay. Well, I mean, Ozymandias is playable. I think that hero is fine. Better than I thought it would be, personally. I didn't think, because it summons a beast, right? It summons, that actually matters. Because if beasts are in, you can synergize with Hyena early, you can synergize with Mama Bear. It's like an avenge proc. Like, it's actually irrelevant. And it kind of scales. I don't like that your opponent knows exactly what the stats of the tentacle is. That seems like unnecessary information to give your opponent, considering the amount of information you normally hide from your players. This seems like just like, oh yeah, he has a 7/7. Make sure you put your 8/8 in the front or something. It seems unnecessary, but other than that, like even with that caveat, the hero's still playable, still can do well, and it has early tempo, and it scales somewhat. So yeah. Pyramad's getting a change. Okay. This hero is very unplayable. It's been unplayable for like a year plus, and it's just been in the game like ruining my hero selections for like a year. Right, this is one I would have removed, or like until you find a good buff for it, I would remove it. But new cost 0. This is already a big deal. The fact that it costs 0, already that's broken. I would say give a minion 2 health. Wait, is it targeted now? It's now targeted 0 cost. Give a minion 2 health. That's playable, and might be really strong. Gains plus health each turn you don't use this. What does that mean? Gains plus... Wait a minute. Are you telling me? No, there's no way. Are you telling me that if you don't use this, it just becomes like give a minion plus 5 health, cost 0, targeted? That's no way. That's no way. That's what you're doing, right? That's crazy. That's insane. What? That's even targeted itself is fine. Like even targeted itself, you could make it 1 mana, but you're making it 0 mana. Give a minion targeted health, and it gains health if you, so you can easily make this like give a minion 8 health every turn. Huh. That's very weird. If this is real, right? This is very playable and borderline broken, especially in the right lobbies. I don't understand it. This is like it's like a overbuff, right? You're going from unplayable, but the unplayable is not like the ability, it's like the random nature of it. It costs 1, right? Like you could fix either of these and it'd be a lot better, right? Like you could just make it cost 0 and it's better, right? It's playable. You could make it targeted and cost 1 and then it's playable, but you're doing both, and then it even has this extra piece, this unnecessarily extra piece too. Like you could just have this and it's fine, probably. Like targeted 0 mana plus 2 health, that's fine. But then it has this like, oh yeah, just don't use it turn 1 and now it's plus 3 every time. Oh, don't use it for 2 turns and now you're back to this, but it costs 0. What? Ridiculous. I don't understand. Who's designing this? What? This is ridiculous. What? I don't understand this. Maybe they're like trying to make up to Pyramid, but I don't think this is healthy. This is also very toxic. What? Okay. Alright, so I was saying this does not make me feel like playing this hero. This for sure does. What? 0 mana targeted scaling health. What? Okay. I'll be trying Pyramid if I get it. Alright, let's move on before I stay there. Tasman's getting a buff, I assume. Destroyer lowers health. Give it to 4. Destroy your health, give it to 5. Okay, so you're buffing 5 instead of 4 now. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't play this hero much. The hardest part is just like making you getting a target you want to destroy, essentially. It can work if you're playing like elementals. In elemental Nomi scaling, it's like really good. Maybe Felbat as well. Sometimes you can get away with Kali, but a lot of times it's hard to do it. But I mean, it's still gonna be a good early game tempo hero, and maybe it'll be better. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can see this being playable, but I'm not like the biggest fan. Those are the only changes? Wow. So it's only 3 changes. This seems so out of place compared to everything else. Right? Like this is like okay. And then this is like whatever. And then this one is just like, what is going on here? This one feels like Pyramid itself got to design his hero. He's like, hey, Pyramid, I know you've been weak for a while. You'll get to design your own hero power. You know, don't be too crazy. And he's like, okay, I'll just, you know, first of all, I'll make myself 0 health. You know, now people use me. Then I'll be scaling, and but you know, I won't make it too strong. We'll start at 2. You know, it's like it feels like Pyramid itself got to design this hero power. You know, the rest of them is like, all right. Armor tier upgrades. The following heroes were adjusted to have more armor. I would really like them to just. I know this will make the patch look larger, but I'd like to know what they were before. You know, I'd like to know the armors they were before and then the update. Not just like, oh yeah, these are now tier 2. I don't even know what tier 2 means, right? Like I know, well I do, but like most people won't know what that means. What is armor tier 2? If you just ask random players, how much armor is armor tier 2? They're not. I don't think they're most players are gonna just like know off the top of their heads. Oh yeah, armor tier 2 is, you know, 2 to 5 armor or something like that. Like they're not. I don't feel like they're gonna know that off the top of my head. So if you could like put at least like a reminder of, oh, these are the armor tiers or something. I don't know. I mean, I guess you can like look it up elsewhere, but it's still weird. If you're trying to look at the patch notes and understand everything. So these were just to have more armor. So Alikir, more armor. Phelan, more armor. Galakron, Malygos, Vol'jin. I was really feeling Phelan with no armor. This one I really felt Phelan with no armor. I also felt Galakron with no armor. These two I felt the no armor. Alikir I didn't really feel too much. Malygos I didn't really feel too much. I haven't played a single Vol'jin game since the buddies were gone, so I don't even know. Cthulhu armor tier 3. This hero is like unplayable to me, but somebody likes it. A developer likes this hero. Brucon, Edwin, Flurgle, Ashara, tier 5. Man, Ashara used to be so good. Well, not so good, but like very playable. And now it's an armor tier 5, meaning that they've given up on the hero. Flurgle's nerf was so unjustified, by the way. Like, I don't understand the Flurgle change. It's such a... You took this hero out back and shot in the face for no... for not of, like, the best reasons. Like, the hero was kind of toxic in its iteration, but you really just butchered this one. Edwin is still good, like, if you have, like, a good mech start or something. Brucon, I don't know. It's, like, playable, but it feels bad to play. Unless you get like a early avenge card, then it's okay. Deathwing to tier 6. Wow. Test to tier 6 too. That's dangerous. This one's dangerous. This one's a dangerous game you're playing here. Jiraxis, Illidan, sure. These don't really see play. Deathwing doesn't see play too, but I think Deathwing is like maybe playable, just like not fun at the moment, but playable. At least I understand. Not a lot of people like Elise. I don't hate Elise myself. Elise and Tess is what I would play in this tier. But yeah, I can see it there. And Arana, Cario, Mukla to tier 7? Wow. Really? Mukla can have 10 armor? That's interesting. I don't know if this one seems out of place here. Like, I think Mukla is playable by far. Right? Like, very playable. Like, compared to the rest of these it's next to. This seems like a mistake. Like, I could see it maybe armor tier like 5 or something. Like, maybe armor tier 5. 6 is kind of pushing it too, but just all the way to 7. Wow. I think this hero is playable. What? This feels out of place. Mukla's like, what am I doing here? Sorafang, I could see it. Like, it's not horrible, but like, Buddies really made this one a lot better. Rakanishu is kind of unplayable, not fun to play either. Curator is sad. Like, Curator should be better, but it's not. Like, it should be better, but it's not. And Rat King, sure. I do think Rat King's like more playable than the rest of them they're in, but I would like, this one could be tier 6 and I'd be okay with it. But yeah, the Mukla one strikes me. Out of all of the changes, the one that jumps out to me is probably, yeah, it's probably Mukla and then maybe Tess. Yeah, I would say. Anyways, but I mean, this isn't like the end of the world. Like, this just helps me because I like Mukla, or at least I play it. The following are having less armor. So these have no armor tier 1. Alex Straza, no armor. That's a bit scary. I mean, sometimes you get lucky with Alex Straza and you like get Kali and you're like very good, and then sometimes you don't, right? So you're just making this hero way more like hit or miss. Do you get the Kali or not? I don't know if that's like the best design of a hero, but yeah. Just making it significantly riskier. The problem though with giving Alex Straza armor is when you hit, you just win, because you're like so healthy and you have a Kali or so, and you have dragons and you're so healthy, so it's like unbeatable. But it means that when you whiff, you're dead. You always die. So it's so hit or miss, which it was before, but it's gonna be even harder to recover. Blackthorn with no armor. Yeah, I mean, I don't play Blackthorn much, but I can see it. This is crazy, right? Any must be doing so well at lower tiers, right? Like, for this hero to be gutted and then still get nerfed afterwards. Like, just gutted, used to have so much and then gets nerfed and then gets nerfed and then gets nerfed again. It's not even the hero. It's just that you force mechs with this hero, and that is strong enough. The ability to tell the player, hey, just force mechs. That itself is good enough to make this thing not deserve armor. It's so funny. I don't know. But yeah, I guess even with all the nerfs, mechs by itself, like, forcing it is good enough that it's getting another nerf. That's so crazy to me. Maev's getting a nerf as well. I can see that, I guess. I think Maev's pretty good. You can set up 6 drops a lot easier than other heroes. And sometimes you're not going to be risky. Like, it's kind of Alex Straza-esque, because if you don't get the triples, then you've kind of taken a lot of damage for no reason. But if you do get the triple, is really powerful. So I can see it. This one hurts me because I like my F. So you know, understandable. Patches nerfed. I don't know. I don't like patches. I don't see why patches no armor. But that's just the power of having heroes that force a minion type, right? Like even if they're not actually that good, just the fact that you force it means that you're gonna have a game plan for the get-go, and that's gonna help you. But once you get to a higher elo, like that doesn't help you at all. Like, oh, this is not playable. In a lot of cases. This is their fix for Shutterwalk. Just give it no armor. This is not a fix. This is like, oh my god. This is like we don't know what to do kind of change. But yeah, Shutterwalk's a huge problem at high elos. It's too free. It's too guaranteed when the right minion types are in. This is not a solution at all. It makes me sad to see this. Just because it's not addressing the problems that Shutterwalk creates, especially at high tiers. But they know it exists, right? Because they're changing it, right? Their data suggests that it needs to change. But this does absolutely nothing at high elo. This armor change does nothing. So it just kind of hurts. But yeah, I mean, I would maybe like to see a lot of stuff. I mean, I could even see the hero being removed. But yeah, I mean, whatever. Lich King, yeah, Lich King's really strong. Not only, but like mostly because of Leroy. Leroy on Lich King is so broken. Like, you get 2 procs, you kill 2 things guaranteed. Especially when token compositions aren't in the game. It becomes it comes very easy to like 2-for-1 with Leroy Reborn, and then have like another Leroy, and then have like a couple of big units, and like you know, a little bit Murlocs or the 6-drop, and just like win a lobby like that. And then also like Lich King can synergize with Khadgar, but it's not as common. But it is some like super busted stuff if you can like Khadgar the Leroys. Galliwix with no armor makes sense. Like in the right lobbies, this hero is still super broken. Zarella no armor also makes sense. Sadly, I think this hero is really solid right now. It might be. I mean, it's not me, of course, but like my games with Zarella have been pretty solid. Reno to 2, sure. Brand to 3, sure. Yeah, I mean these are fine. What jumps out to me with the nerfs? The Shutterwalk is not enough, and then this one's hit or miss. And I'm so shocked that Ini gets a nerf. Like, it's still playable. 12 minions have to die, and that's so good. Oh my god. Minion updates. Oh, they're updating minions. 2 to 5 to 5 to 4. Huh. That's huge. Huh. Why I'm thinking is the important thing about this is that it beats every 1-drop in the game, except for the ones that have one damage. So like, it loses really hard to the demon 1/1 and things like that. But every other minion it beats, which is kind of impressive. I mean, it kind of did that already, but like this beats some 2-drops now. That like the old version, the 2/5, it doesn't beat 2-drops. It like ties with them. This one beats a decent number of 2-drops too. So kind of interesting. I'd also like to see the golden version be after this minion takes 1 damage twice. Like, I don't understand this 2 damage. It's so troll. You make this card weaker, right? It's like, you know, like it dies to spawn and stuff, and things people actually run. Like, I don't understand this. It should be 1 damage twice, but I just wonder if like they don't have the code for that. That's not an excuse though. So yeah, I just think like the way the golden version works doesn't really make that much sense for making this card playable, right? Because if you make it 1 damage twice, that's significantly harder to make it pop. So it actually becomes a playable unit if you golden this. Whereas even if you golden this, you still want to sell it as quickly as possible as soon as you can because it's not safer to make this golden. Whereas if it was 1 damage twice, it'd be a lot safer to play in the mid to late game and things like that. So very weird. But I do think you might pick this. You might try, especially if like maybe like demons are out or something like that, where there's less one attack minions that you start with. But yeah, Terra Ghosa back to 3. So Ysera's like Ysera's having a huge party right now. What? Back to 3? Well, Ysera's playable again. If you guys want to play Ysera, it's back. I can tell you that right now. So, yeah, I don't understand this. No, I don't like this change. I mean, yeah, the buddy meta really like showcased how broken this card was, but it's still broken. Tier 4 is kind of like a neutered solution, like because you don't force it unless you get like you get really lucky, right? You don't force it, but this card is still so strong. Like, I don't understand why you would revert this. Obviously, this isn't seeing a lot of play. That's the reason, right? But it's not seeing a lot of play because you need to increase the base stats. What should be done is not this. Is you increase the base stats of this. Like, you could make it a 6/6, just like the Inferno or something, and then you might see more play because it's pickable, right? Because the 4/4 stats was for Tavern Tier 3, but then you moved it to Tavern Tier 4, you didn't increase the base stats. So every time you see it, it just looks super awkward to buy unless you have the Proto Drake alongside it. It's just not worth buying. But moving it back to 3, Ysera is going to be super happy, and now you can like pick this up on 3, and then you can like grab the promo on 4, and you'll see a lot more of these in Dragons now. So this is that's a huge meta shakeup, actually. I mean, minion changes always shake up the meta a lot more than hero changes because you see it every game. Seer's back to 3. I see this one. That's funny. I mean, it just like the problem with this is like, what does it tell us? Like, oh, our designs were bad. We shouldn't have moved it to 3 to solve the buddy problem. We should have made a different, more elegant solution, right? Because the buddies go back, and then like a month later, you're like, why is Seer still a 4 drop? And then they're like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense anymore. You know, like you should have done this as soon as you removed buddies or something, right? Then you're like, oh yeah, they know what they're doing. But here, like a month later or so, it's like, oh yeah, we forgot. Like, this change doesn't make sense, especially with the Flurgle nerfs. So yeah, I mean, it should have been a 3 already. Honestly, the move to 4 to fix the Flurgle buddy issue is just not elegant. And yeah, they either should have reverted it as soon as they as soon as they removed buddies, or made a different change entirely. But yeah, this should have been a tier 3 for a while back. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, Shell's getting the attack back? I mean, I think Shell is still playable, like even with a 1/2. I guess like their data is saying Nagas aren't being played as much after they removed Siren. I do think we did we had a really good suggestion for Siren on the podcast that we had. a while back, like maybe like 2 weeks ago. We had a really good suggestion. I like that, but I don't think they're adding Siren back. That would be pretty interesting. I mean, especially with the Naga buffs, I don't think they'll be adding Siren back as well. But yeah, I mean, it's already playable at this, and now it's it's more playable. So sure. Give a minion +2/+2. Okay, so it's +2/+2 now. Sure. So it's a 4/10 now as a base instead of a 3/9. Sure. I mean, this could be a 3-drop, honestly. Like you could revert this and make it a 3-drop and make it like a 2/5 or something. It'd be fine, but yeah, whatever. Critter Wrangler. Oh, they're reverting Critter Wrangler too? Wow. I don't know if this needs to be reverted. This seems a bit unnecessary. I think this card is really good. Even with the +2/+1 of the 5/6 bait line stat line. But I mean, what this tells me, or what I'm interpreting, is that their data says Nagas weren't being played that well. But I actually disagree. I think Nagas were good. We're like actually in an okay spot. You just need to have the setup, right? Like, I don't know. If you've seen me play Nagas, like it's broken. If you if you see me play Nagas, it's broken. But I think a lot of people like force Nagas without the setup, and then it just flounders. But yeah, I don't think this one's necessary. Out of all the Naga changes, this is the one that jumps out to me as like, maybe you don't need to do this. Cause like what the best thing about this is like you make a huge Fur Reaper, right? And if you make it +2, now the Fur Reaper has like so much extra health, and there's a good chance it gets to attack again, right? Or it gets to double cleave and then stay alive, right? And that's just so strong. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this one. Like you could give it the 7 health, whatever. That doesn't really matter. But the +2/+2 instead of 2/+1, that did matter. That did matter a lot. And yeah, you're gonna be seeing this still. So yeah, definitely playable. So they're just making Nagas a lot better again. Okay, yeah, okay, this I can respect. I think this needed to happen initially. I think this just makes sense. This needed to be a 3/3. Like, it's a 5-drop 4/4. It's like, what is that? Right? It's a 5-mana 4/4. Like, you can't triple into this. Like, what is this? Making it a 6/6 is a little bit more respectable. Like, it's a small change, but it's very impactful. Like a 6/6, you might try and then scale it from there. And it doesn't prevent like the high rollers. The people that high roll this already high roll, but now you might be able to like buy this randomly, and it's at least a 6/6 instead of a 4/4. So yeah, I can see that. Oh wow, Atissa getting its 8 health back. So you can triple into this. So the problem, okay, I bet I know what their data is telling. Oh, I bet I can imagine what their data is saying to make this. So they're looking at their data, and Atissa's never being picked as a triple for into 6, right? Like that's what's happening. Atissa's never being picked because I think it's bad. It's I'm sure, yeah, it's definitely bad, right? Because you triple it into a 6 and you get a 3 health minion. Like that's unplayable. You just take 15 and then you die, right? So they're trying to make it more of an option to triple into. But it's not like this card is not being played. It's just getting discovered from tenders, or being bought on tier 6 or something like that. It's not being tripled into. So they're trying to give the extra health so that it gets tripled into. Which I don't hate. I don't like, it's not the worst change, honestly, so. Yeah, I don't think Nagas are bad though. Like that's the thing. I don't think Nagas are bad. So they're just buffing Nagas. I guess it's not that many buffs. So they're giving Atissa 5 health. That's not impactful. This is not really being played in Nagas, so this is not impactful. This is kind of being played, but it's more being played in like Nagas if you don't have an Atissa, or Cleave Nagas. So it's just gonna buff Cleave Nagas. This isn't really a big change, and this isn't really a big change. So it's not really that important. Like the Naga buffs aren't really that impactful. I'd say this is probably the most impactful one. But it doesn't really affect like the pure Naga build. This is more of the Nagas with a cleave. But that is an important composition to buff, so yeah. So I guess it's not really a Naga. It's not really gonna change Nagas too much. It's just like you might not die if you take a Tissa. If you discover a Tissa, you might not die. That's what it's saying. But I do think Nagas are playable, so yeah. This Ghosa to 3 is probably the most impactful, like, overall change. Ysera, I'd play Ysera now because of this. And then, I mean, I might be biased, right? I a lot of bad memories with this minion, but it might be playable as well. And then this is whatever. The Pyramids, this one doesn't, what? This is probably the most like, what the, you know, hero change I've seen. But I've seen a lot of weird ones. This one is one of them for sure. So that, and then the Ghosa change, those are probably the biggest ones, and then Wrangler as well. The Lobby Legends qualifiers in a couple days. But I don't think these changes are like too game breaking or game warping. Like I don't think I'm gonna have to relearn the game. But Nagas are better. Pyramid's probably playable or broken. And then Ghosa is playable, so Ysera is also playable. And you might see more Ghosa promo compositions because you'll see Ghosa earlier. And there'll be more of them. So the bottleneck will be back to being promo. Most likely more than Ghosa. Okay. Interesting changes. I'm still sad. I did talk about in the beginning that they aren't removing heroes. Like they're allergic to removing heroes that are doing poorly. And it takes them like, how long has it been since we got a pyramid buff? Like more than half a year. It takes them like multiple expansions to buff a weak hero. And there's so many other heroes that need some adjustments. Like I'm kind of confused about this change, but I do think they need more of it. Maybe not, like the problem with this change is it's too extreme. It's too extreme, right? Like I'm happy they're making changes, but you could just make this 0. Like you could just have the same ability and then it's 0. Like at least try that first. Like why are we this is like 3 buffs in a row or something, right? Like you could just make this 0 and it's probably playable. You could just make it targeted and then cost 1 and it's probably playable. You know, but no, you're making it 0 and then it's targeted and then it gains health as well. It's like so many buffs. So I wouldn't mind more changes, but you know, you can buff more heroes just gradually, right? You don't have to like do all 5 buffs at the once. But yeah, I do think Pyramid's gonna be playable. Like I don't understand this. I don't know. This is the one that just like, what is going on? If Pyramid got to choose its hero power, it's like, oh, let me just change the 1 to a 0. Let me get scaling. Let me make myself targetable. Like damn, they I don't get it, but whatever. Anyways, let's play some games, right? But that is a crazy one. Overall, am I happy with the patch? Overall, I'm gonna say no because it didn't remove any heroes. And my biggest complaint with the meta right now is there's too many bad heroes over everything else. And then Shutterwalk is stupid. But you know, it didn't really solve that problem. I don't think this fixes anything. So you added one hero back into the game, right? Like that's really what. Overall, that's how I look at it. You've added one hero back into the game, and then like Ysera. Okay, you've added two, because you've also added Ysera. So you've added two heroes back into the game, but there's still too many bad heroes. So overall, like it's still not fixed or healthy to me. Don't forget, if they remove a hero, the achievement for that hero becomes a problem. I don't. I really don't give any care about that. I'm not an achievement hunter. There's no bugs, right, that we care about now. So no lag. Oh right, they also need to fix the lag. Yeah, so no lag fixes either. Yeah, so I guess that's another thing, right? The lag, the huge number of bad heroes, and then Shutterwalk. So yeah, but yeah, okay. We got updated now, so it should be good. I don't mean that you care, but Blizzard cares. Yeah, I mean, it is not an excuse. That's the problem. Like, I hear you, but that is not an acceptable excuse. Oh, we can't remove these heroes because of the achievements. Oh, come on.